Wow, good morning. We are hoping to have some fun this morning. We're going to try something that is new. Jen and I have known each other for a long time, but we were both very successful when we first met. And what I would like to know, what we would like to try and explore with each other is actually how we became successful, in the hope that there might be something there that you can latch on to. And I'm quite certain that if we don't answer all of our questions because we don't have the time, you can find us during the day and ask us the questions you'd like. So that's what we're here for. Jen, are you happy with that?
I'm thrilled, and good morning to everyone here. We're thrilled that you are here with us, and it's such an honor for me to be sitting here with Tony, who I have admired as a mentor for so many years. Tony, you have to share with everyone how you got started and what made you so successful.
I can't remember. How did I get started? We only have an hour, Jen. I was working in retail. I had a very inauspicious schooling. I'm going to tell you more about that when I speak tomorrow morning, but it was not exactly a success, and I was working in retail, and I decided that I would really like to have a job with a company car. And I thought the only jobs with company cars were sales jobs. So I started to apply for jobs selling office equipment. And of course, nobody wanted to interview somebody without any qualifications. And then I saw an advertisement. And Jen, last month was my 50th anniversary in the life insurance business. And I can still remember what the advertisement said. It said, 9 to 5 men are 2 a penny. We want the exception, telephone. So I telephoned and I found myself in the life insurance business. And you ask how I got started. I was given that sheet of paper that says, please write down the names of 50 people you know. Now, my previous employer had just moved me to the city I was in, and I only knew 2 people. And when they didn't buy, it was then a case of what do I do now? And I was told to go cold calling. Now, I have to tell you that cold calling is God's punishment for not asking for referrals. And that was how I began in the business. Lots of little sales, high activity, and it took a long time to make it. But Jen, I mean, that's me. I'd like to know how you got started.
It's so interesting that both of us answered an ad. I graduated from college almost 36 years ago, and I came home to my home state of Boston, Massachusetts, and I saw an ad in the local newspaper for a marketing management trainee. And when I responded to the ad, it was a career in the life insurance business. And I felt that it was a little bit of bait and switch because it didn't say life insurance business in the advertisement. But I went to the meeting and I met an amazing gentleman who said to me, how would you like to be in a career where you can work as hard as you want and control your financial success by the work that you do? Only you would be responsible for your level of success. And I thought to myself, this is absolutely where I want to be, in a business where I get recognized for my hard work. And I didn't want to work 9 to 5. I wanted to work the hours I wanted to work and raise a family at the same time.
You know, Jen, there must be a school for recruiters, because the guy who recruited me said exactly the same thing to me. You want to be paid what you're worth.
Right.
All I wanted was a company car. I have to tell you, Jen, in our countries, in the US and in the UK, it is almost the norm for financial service practitioners like us, advisors, to be independent. I know that's much rarer here. So I actually sold my business about 15 years ago, and that's the first time anybody ever offered me a company car. I turned it down.
So we both started very similarly, which is cold calling, dialing for dollars. I used to have on my desk in front of me a mirror, and it said, "Smile as you dial. The other person can hear you smiling." So for me, starting off in the business was building one client at a time. And as I shared yesterday, I would sell to anyone and everyone until I could figure out what my market was and who the right people I was to approach. Who did you have as your early client?
Well, when I was told I had to cold call, I said, "What does that mean?" They said, "Well, there's the yellow pages. Pick up the telephone, make calls." And I said, "I can't do that." I was a timid 22-year-old. "I can't do that. There has to be another way." And they said, "Yes, well, okay, go in and out of businesses. Go call on small business owners." And so I would call on small shopkeepers. And the number of times that I would go into a shop intending to make a cold call and just lose my nerve at the last minute and come out with a box of matches or a packet of sweets or something. And I found it really difficult. And we had a sort of senior manager who was doing a tour of the offices, and he came to our office and he said, "How are you getting on?" And I said, "I'm really struggling cold calling." And he said, "Well, next time you go into a business," he said, "and as you face the manager, before you say anything, just picture the person you're prospecting naked, sitting on the toilet." Now, I immediately smile at that. And he said, "Exactly." He said, "It will make you smile, which will make your prospect smile, which will make it easier." But you know, I was told that I had to make 100 clients in my first year. I was told, your job in your first year is to make 100 clients. And I did, all small clients. But when I got to my 100th client, having made thousands of cold calls, Jen, I looked back to see where those 100 clients came from. And only 16 of them came from cold calling. The other 84 were referrals from the people I'd cold called. So if there is a skill which we all have to develop, it is the skill of getting good quality referrals.
And I would say that that is the key to the success that I've enjoyed over the last 36 years, is that I'm not afraid to ask for referrals. I'm not afraid to tell the clients that I actually get paid in two ways. I get paid if they happen to buy one of the products that has a commission tied to it. And then the greatest compliment and the way that I get paid is if they feel that my service has been of value to them, that they would refer me to somebody else. And if you're doing your homework and your research ahead of time, you know who's in their sphere of network that maybe you can suggest, I would like to meet your CPA or your legal advisor. Would you be opening to creating a referral for me? So today, referrals are the only way we do business, because we want to do business with people who really value our work and want to do business with us. So Tony, it has evolved from cold calling, which we started with, which was a really tough way to start in the business, to today really being able to navigate how to best ask for referrals. Would you agree?
Yes. You know, it is interesting. The hardest decision that people ever make is not the decision whether to buy from us. The hardest decision people ever make is the decision to trust another human being. We taught from childhood, don't trust this person, don't take sweets from strange men. I was told, don't take sweets from strange women. I'm still living in hope that a strange woman will come and offer me a sweet one day. Don't trust. Read it before you sign it. Don't trust. And when people give us objections, they want to think about it, they want to ask their accountant, their mother, their brother. What they're really saying is, I am trying to put off this difficult decision whether or not to trust you. It is easier to put off the decision than to risk trusting you and maybe making a mistake. But when we have a referral, it is assumed that the referor, the person who gave the referral, has dealt with this difficult question, is this person trustworthy? And that's why the closing average on referrals will always be much greater than the closing average on cold calls.
Absolutely. People will buy from you if they trust you to be there in good times and in bad times. Do what you say you're going to do. And when you prove that over and over again, you will be surprised how easy it is for your client to provide you with endless amounts of referrals. You have to work at it. It doesn't come naturally. You really have to cultivate those relationships. And I think that both of us have learned how important relationships are in our careers.
Well, I think that's really the business we're in, isn't it? We're in the business of creating and managing relationships of trust. It's what we all do for a living, and the better we are at that, the more successful we will be. And just sticking just for a moment with referrals, it's important that we become so good at getting referrals that we have more than we need. Because if we have more referrals than we need, then we can cherry pick, we can select which of those referrals we would like to make contact with. When we need one appointment and we only have one referral, then good or bad, that prospect is getting called.
Right.
But if we have two, we're going to pick the one, we're going to call the one that we think will make the better client. And you know, in my office with the agents that I always worked with, we were not satisfied when somebody made a sale. An agent would come into the office and say, Jen, I've just made this great sale. We'd say, terrific. How many referrals did you get? Referrals are not something to be put off to policy delivery. In fact, we should not be delivering policies. If we do the mailman's work, we'll get the mailman's wage. The mailman will deliver the policies. We should be asking for referrals at the point of sale. And certainly the way I was trained by an insurance company was that the sales process was sort of linear, Jen. It starts with a name and you make an appointment and hopefully you go to a meeting and maybe at the end of this process you make a sale and that's the end of it and no, it's not like that at all. It has no beginning and it has no end. It's a cycle. There is a sales cycle going on all the time. And making a call and asking for the check and asking for the referrals is all an essential part of the cycle. And if you can just imagine the wheels of your car or the wheels of your bicycle, you know, you leave a piece out of that and you have a very uncomfortable ride. And the same is true with our careers. If we leave a piece out of what our job is, and usually it's the getting referrals that gets left out, we leave that out, we have an uncomfortable career. We practice that and become efficient at getting referrals, then your careers will be terrific.
So we've talked a lot about referrals as an opportunity, but what are some of the things that each of you can do to create that relationship and that stronger bond with your clients? We find that the sale is not over after the mailman has delivered the policy. A client likes to know that you're with them for a long period of time, that you're not a sell and go type of person. Once you've made the sale, then you let them go. The relationships that you develop over a period of time, they become friends. For me, 36 years in the business, I've paid some unbelievable death claims on people I would never have expected to. And the work we do each and every day impacts the lives of those that are left behind. So relationships will bring you those referrals, but don't sell and go. Make sure that once you've sold the policies, that you continue with that relationship building over a period of time.
You know, Jen, you are famous for the way in which you relate to clients. We couldn't be more different. You befriend your clients. To me, work was work, and my private life was my private life. I've never sent a birthday card in my life to a client.
But I send you birthday cards every year.
What?
I send you birthday cards.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
He doesn't remember my birthday.
Yeah, you are, and it's just a different style.
Absolutely.
You know, yesterday you told us all of the stuff that you do. I might buy a sandwich for a client, and that was the extent of my generosity. Different styles, but what is important is that the client knows we are there for them.
Correct.
The client knows that they have access to us. And it's knowing they have access, whether you reinforce that the way Jen does with lots of backup, which is what makes Jen comfortable, or whether you live in hope like me that nothing will go wrong. But you know, whether you're, let's say, a little more distant from the clients like me, my clients always knew that they had access to me. And that was what was important to them and important to me. And it kept them as clients, happy clients.
So communication is so different for everybody. And everybody has their own preferred form of communication. So what's really fun about Tony and I is Tony has one step above a flip phone. And I have, of course, the iPhone, the Apple iPhone. But communicating with clients has to be on whatever level they're comfortable with. So how do your clients like to communicate with you, and how do you like to communicate with your clients?
Well, I would send...
Because the flip phone doesn't allow a lot of activity.
The flip phone?
It's close.
I have to say, my phone really should be in a museum.
That's
okay.
right.
That's
right.
And when it dies, that's where it will go.
We're going to bury it.
Yeah. I think it's important to reach out to clients. It's important to have touch points with clients. And I would advise an advisor today to try to reach out to clients on a regular basis, and ideally at least once a month. What we did in my business was we hired a very good PR agency. Now this is tougher to do if you're an individual agent for a company. It's something the insurance company should do. But it made sure that my agency's name was in the local newspapers every 2 or 3 weeks in the city that I live in. And that did the trick. The number of times that I would see a client and the client would say, "Oh, I saw your name in the newspapers again last week." And that was really as good as
Absolutely.
Yeah, spending money on the clients. But I do suggest you find ways, and email today is wonderful. You know, one letter, one email. If you're in the investment business talking about markets, telling clients, don't worry, it's just turbulence in the markets. If you're in the protection business or retirement, find something to say, and at the press of a button, all of your clients can receive it. So there's no excuse today to not be in touch with clients on a regular basis, and it should be part of any advisor's discipline, that at least once a month we sit down and think about what are we going to tell our clients this month. And even if it's a couple of paragraphs, and you know something, it doesn't matter when they see your email it doesn't matter if they don't read it. Because the only thing the client cares about is Jen doing what she promised she was going to do? Is Tony doing what he promised he was going to do? And every time they see your name, even if they don't have the time to read the email, every time they see your name, it reinforces Tony is doing what he promised he was going to do.
So I would agree with Tony. Once a month, great way to touch a client. We call it a hit, a touch, a moment, creating special opportunities to touch the client. So email, I don't know if you experience the same level of frustration that I do with email, as I get so many at times that I get overwhelmed with them, and I just hit delete, 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 delete. So I agree, send emails so your name's up top, but I would encourage you to send a personal letter, because people don't do that anymore. Send a note card. I have and carry note cards with me. Send a note, quick note, thinking of you. While I'm here in Hong Kong, I bought some beautiful note cards, and I wrote, thinking of you while I'm in Hong Kong, speaking at APLIC. And I will send those off before I leave. That just is another way to touch a client, and it gives you an opportunity to talk about something different and something personal. So I do agree with you, stay in front of the client, but vary how you connect with the client, not always 100% email.
Well, there is one great advantage to something that is on a piece of paper, and that is it sits for a few days before it goes in the bin. So that I agree with. There is a great advantage.
Oh my goodness, he just agreed with me. Yeah, well, that's unusual.
You know, just talking about letters or emails, though, what we should try to do, and there has to be some ideas come out of this, not just a conversation. So here's an idea for you. You should put a footer on every email. Every single email that leaves your office should have a footer on it. Below your name, but above all that stuff that the insurance company insists is there, that says we take no responsibility for anything that's said above. And equally, it could be a PS if it's on a letter, and it should say something like, this firm grows by referral. We value being introduced to the friends, family, or business colleagues of our clients. Now, is this going to get you a referral? No. But by the time a client has had several pieces of correspondence from you, it slowly starts to create a culture of expectancy. You expect to be referred. So put that as a footer or as a PS on every letter, a footer on every email. We grow by referral. We value being introduced to the family, friends, or business colleagues of our clients. Now what this does, next time you see the client, they're half expecting you to actually ask for referrals.
That's a great suggestion. Even I will do that. So, Tony and I met because of an amazing organization called MDRT. And both of us have had the privilege of being president of MDRT and president of Top of the Table. We attend all of the meetings because it gives us such great inspiration and allows us to network with some of the best professionals in our industry. I would really like to know how you got to your first MDRT, because that was a pretty significant achievement for you in a very short period of time.
Well, no, it actually took me 8 years to get to MDRT. 50 years in the business. I've only been an MDRT member for 42 years. I'm a beginner. I was managing along at about 2/3 of the MDRT production level. And I thought this was it. I was working hard. I had my 15 appointments every week. But, I was paying a mortgage on a modest home, and you know, we would manage to get a couple of weeks vacation every year. And I thought this was the life of a life insurance agent. You know, 7 years at this point in the business, I thought this was how it was going to be for the rest of my career. And okay, there were worse ways to earn a living. And I went to a meeting and somebody talked about MDRT. And they said it's a club for the top people in the business. And I thought, if there's a club for the top people, out of nothing more than self-respect, I should join this club. How do you join? And they told me what the qualification was. And I said, I can't do that. It's more than I've ever done. And he said, well, break it down. And I think the qualification here in Hong Kong, I think is 500,000 Hong Kong dollars a year of commission. Break it down, $50,000 a month. It's too much, I can't do that. No, it's just $12,000 a week. No, I can't do $12,000 a week. Well, it's $3,000 a day. I like to do my selling 4 days a week and keep Fridays for clearing up. And I thought, if I made one average size sale a day, maybe I could get into this club. What do I have to do to make one average size sale a day? I had to have 4 appointments. With 4 appointments, 3 of them would be there, 1 of them would buy from me. And what I'd realized, what I discovered, Jen, by accident, was that setting daily goals has an incredible power to it. Now, I did nothing different other than I set daily goals. I've always believed that it's better to try and not succeed than not to try. The worst that could happen to me is I might not make it into this club called MDRT, but I'd probably do more business. And amazingly, my business doubled. My 8th year in the business, my business doubled. And then I had the good sense to go to my first MDRT meeting. Now, I'm going to tell you this story tomorrow, so I don't want to spoil tomorrow's story. But I discovered the top of the table at my first meeting, and they said there's a club within the club. And I thought, oh, golly, I really better get into this club. And they told me what I had to do, and I said, I can't possibly do that. And I'll tell you one thing now I will repeat tomorrow, because to me it's been the most powerful message, Jen, that I have ever received, not just in this business, but in life. We can achieve anything we want to achieve in this business if we just have the courage to believe we can achieve it. And I went home from that meeting and I tore up all of my goals and I made new goals. And I made the top of the table. Now, what is interesting is not how I went from here to here to here in a couple of years. What is interesting is the potential to do that must always have been there. And wouldn't it be amazing if we could look into everybody's minds and see how much potential is there that, like in my case, was not being used? Now, clearly, once you've made top of the table once, you've got to keep making it. And so that's how I made it. It was really just the discovery of the power of setting daily goals. Now, how did you make it?
So it's interesting, our journeys were very similar. I had been in the business for quite some time, and I had actually qualified for MDRT, but I didn't know anything about it, and I had not joined. So my sales manager came to me back in 1989, and he said, Jen, I want you to be an MDRT member, and I want you to go to the annual meeting. And at that time, the fee was like $350 in US money. And I thought, oh, I don't want to spend the money, I'm saving my money. But he said, if you go and you don't like it, then I will pay you back for all the money you spent to go to your first MDRT meeting. And so I went to my first MDRT meeting in 1990, and I have gone back ever since. I haven't missed a single meeting in over 29 years. And
I've missed 1 out of 42.
Ooh, whoa, that's impressive. For us, what we get out of MDRT is we're around people who are highly successful. So I went from being a big fish in a small pond, which was my company, to being a very small fish in a very large pond, which is MDRT. And that exchange of ideas and the camaraderie that has come out of being affiliated with MDRT on top of the table changed the trajectory of my life and our family's life, because we got to interact with some of the best people. Like, I can pick up the phone anytime, day or night, and call Tony, and he'll pick it up and answer for me. Amazing friendships that developed over this period of time. So for me, MDRT and Top of the Table, they represent relationships. They represent a depth of knowledge and experience that you can tap whenever you need it. And they inspire me to be an even better producer and a businesswoman. So that's my plug and passion for MDRT and Top of the Table. Once I got there, just like you, I was a competitive athlete in college. I didn't want to be just an MDRT member anymore. I wanted that white ribbon. I'm competitive, so I wanted to be at Top of the Table. And like Tony, once you get there, you don't want to go back.
Yeah. You know, I think doing what we did last year is not difficult. It's the growth that always tests us. It's going that one step further. But everything in business comes down to the goals we set. Do we have a plan? I remember when I came into the business, I wish I'd kept the letter my grandmother wrote to me and said, don't take this suicidal step. That's coming into the life insurance business. My father said, what kind of purpose is there in selling life insurance? Actually, if I tell you that probably the most significant claim I ever paid was on my father's life, and it kept my mother in comfort as a widow for 29 years. So the family knew the significance of what I do as a profession.
That's a great question that you're sharing, and I appreciate that. The most difficult claim you've ever paid, did it change how you felt about how you served your clients?
No, because I paid quite a few claims by then. My father died in 1984. I'd been in the business. I know this sounds a long time ago, before most of you were born, but I came into the business in 1969. So,
ooh.
Yeah, I know. It's Wilson, 50 years ago.
I was just a really baby by then.
Any of you born in 1969? No. Okay, one guy down here, you know.
Oh my God, we're feeling old up here now.
Well, we are this side of the table. What was I talking about? The memory goes as well.
Oh, man.
No,
you were talking about your claim.
I paid a few claims by then, so it's very difficult in our early days in the business to understand the significance of what we do. Because we haven't had clients retire yet, we haven't had policies mature yet, we haven't had clients die yet. One thing I will tell you, we get paid our commission when we make the sale. We earn our commission when we pay the claim. It's when that claim is paid that we actually begin to realize the value in what we do. And so yeah, I'd paid some claims, but that was by far the most significant, because otherwise I would have been keeping my mother for all of those years.
When we started yesterday's session, there was a very powerful video about 4 claimants on critical illness. And to see those individuals here touching that heart that says APLIC on it moved me to just tears, actually, because they each had advisors who sold them on the need for critical illness, and they're all young, and their policies changed their lives. So what we each do, whether it's selling critical illness, income protection or life insurance matters. And if you are passionate about it, like both Tony and I are, it changes lives. And I've been very fortunate that now I've seen lives change because of the work that I do. And it's even more difficult today. I find you don't just deliver the death claim anymore. The grieving process allows you to be an advisor over and over and over again. And I'm sure you find that that is an opportunity for you to highlight the work that you do.
Well, 2 points there. Firstly, I want to say that I am a great believer in critical illness insurance. I carried large amounts on my own life, and I gave every client of mine the opportunity to buy critical illness insurance. I know in the US, it's for some reason, it's not such a big deal, but you know, on average, our clients catch whatever it is that is eventually going to kill them 8 or 9 years before they die from it. Whether it's cancer, whether it's heart attack, you know, 80% of deaths from heart attack are not the first, they're the second or third or fourth or fifth. And usually it takes 8 or 9 years from when you first have a diagnosis to end up dying from it. And I would simply ask the client whether they would like the sum assured to be paid on death or when they would first catch whatever it is they're eventually going to die from. All right.
Powerful.
All right. And
powerful.
the other point I was going to make.
Do you remember it? Do you remember the second point?
Yes, yeah,
okay.
I did. The great significance about the claim I paid on my father was actually my mother's reaction to what we do for a living. Because, and I can still remember it clearly, we went back to our family home after the funeral, and she took me aside into the kitchen, and she said to me, "I have just 2 questions. Will I be able to stay in my own home? And will I always be able to buy presents for my grandchildren?" And isn't answering yes to those questions what the life insurance business is really all about? So that taught me what it really means to be bereaved. Anyway.
It's important, no matter, and one of the things I would say.
I have to tell you this. Jen is so well organized. Jen's actually thought about this morning. You know, I've got nothing. This is
how I operate, though. Yeah.
I have to tell you, when I'm at work, I am very highly organized.
Well, that's the next thing I was going to talk about. So now that you totally distracted me.
Sorry.
So we talked about a little bit how you structure your day, and I know you're busy with lots of other businesses in addition to the business that we're in, but what is the best way for you to approach a day, and what does your regular work day look like now that you're semi-retired?
Well, don't ask me now what a regular work day would look like, because...
Well, then you can ask me, because I'm still working.
Okay. I'll tell you what a regular work day did look like.
Okay.
I would advise that we divide our time into 2. We should have selling days and planning days. And on selling days, we should really only have 2 activities. We should either be face-to-face with clients or calling to make appointments. And on a planning day, we can be calling to make appointments and doing all of the other stuff that's necessary, processing the business we've done, preparing for presentations. And everybody is different, but for me, I needed 1 planning day for 4 selling days. My planning day was Friday, and I had a simple discipline. Don't go home on a Friday until your diary is full for the following week. Now, that doesn't mean that I would wait till Friday to try and make 15 appointments for the following week. Right? But it meant that I wouldn't leave the office on a Friday without having my 15 appointments. And sometimes I'd get to go home early, and sometimes I'd be going home late. But I would always have the diary full. And most of my appointments, and certainly in my latter years, were daytime appointments. You know, we don't have to make evening appointments. Something I learned at MDRT, they said, ask people to see you during the daytime. And I thought, can I do that? And I thought, and I'd always worked Monday evening, Tuesday. I'd worked the days as well, but I'd work late Monday, so I'd have an appointment Monday evening, Tuesday evening, Wednesday evening, and Thursday evening. So I said, okay, no more Thursday evenings for me. And I still managed to get my 15 appointments a week. So 12 months later, no more Wednesday evenings. 12 months later, no more Tuesdays. 12 months later, no more Monday evenings. And I decided that I was going to keep one client who I always saw in the evening. I really liked this guy. He always gave me referrals. He always bought. He wasn't the world's biggest client, but he was a good client. I liked him. He always offered me hospitality, and I thought, and he had a haulage business. So he was out all day driving his wagon, driving his lorry.
A haulage business?
Haulage.
What's a haulage business?
Trucks. Drove
a truck driver.
Well, he wasn't a truck driver. He owned the business.
Okay.
Okay. He drove a truck.
I just want to clarify for everybody. A truck driver.
I'm speaking English to this audience. Okay. Who knows what haulage is?
Who knows what a truck driver is? Yay!
That's it. Okay, so anyway, so I decided he was going to be my one evening appointment of the year because he was always out driving his truck every day. Right. But one year I thought, I'll try this. And I called him and I said, you know, Jeff, it's time for us to get together. I said, but could you do me a favor? I start early in the morning. I don't do my best work anymore late in the day. Is there any chance you could finish a little earlier? Maybe we'd meet at 4 instead of at 6:30 or 7. And he said, certainly. I always wondered why you wanted to come in the evening. So, you want daytime appointments? Ask for daytime appointments. How did we get there? What was your question?
I asked how he spent his day, so maybe.
Oh, yeah, how do I spend my day? Okay, so I would have.
You're not done yet?
No, I'd go in the office about 8 o'clock in the morning. My first appointment would be 10. I'd have 10, 12, 2, 4. Those would be my 4 appointments. On a Thursday, I'd have 10, 12, and 2. And that would be it. And I would insist that prospects or clients saw me at the times I wanted, 10, 12, and 2, not at times to suit them. It would always be at times that so that would be my day. I'd be back in the office then at 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, clearing up. I'd be in early in the morning. An hour before 9 is worth 2 hours after 9.
Great.
So that would be my day. And Friday, I'd be at my desk reviewing everything I've done and what I'm going to do next week. And how would your day be?
Is it my turn?
Your turn. You asked me the question.
I know. That's great.
I'm not going to say another word.
Oh, that's great. That won't happen, let me tell you. My day is very focused when I have a focus day. So I break my days into 3 different styles. Focus day, a buffer day when I'm in the office, and free days when I am actually out doing some things that I love to do, which is I'm a golfer. I love to play golf, and I oftentimes will invite clients to play with me. And we typically do that on a Friday or a Monday for several of the golf events. But on a focus day, I work on what I refer to as my unique ability, which is networking, meeting with clients, and meeting with prospects. So that is where I spend my time. I love being out with clients. And so if I don't have people to see, I'll call them up and I'll invite them to join me for a breakfast in the morning, or maybe I'll grab lunch and bring it to them. We love to have our clients come to us at the office. So we invite them to the office and we oftentimes will bring lunch into the office so that we don't have to get involved with a restaurant and it takes too long. So we look to be very efficient on those days that I'm physically in the office. So one of the things that's unique for me is that early in my career, like Tony, I had to work a lot of nights. But when my husband and I had our daughters, I didn't want to work nights anymore. So I had to change my market to business owners, people who work during the day. And so today, I work very few nights. I'll still see some clients at night. I'll take them to dinner, or I have some older clients like you that I really enjoy, and I'll go see them. That wasn't meant to be.
Wait, am I a client of yours?
No, because no, you have plenty of cover. So managing, raising a family and working in this business is a bit of a, it's like integrating. So I integrate my business into my family life. I've been incredibly blessed to raise two beautiful daughters who know that their mom and their dad are both working professionals. But because this career allows so much flexibility, I was able to be at all their soccer games, in their school plays, and every big moment in their life, I made the effort to be there because this business allows us that opportunity. And so for me, I couldn't have picked a better career. And I love what I do, and I love the people I work with. So balance is like integration.
There is no doubt we could not have picked better careers. We'd have been good politicians. We'd have done better than the leaders of both our countries.
Ooh!
Right. However, we could not have picked better careers.
That's true.
I'll make one comment on spending a day, and here is a suggestion. When you're on your way to work, whether it's from home to your first appointment or to your office in the morning, just ask yourselves this question: what do I hope to achieve today? What do I want to achieve? When I get home this evening, what do I need to have achieved that will make me be able to say, today was a good day? Because that helps to create that daily goal, that daily urgency we talked about earlier.
I actually keep a journal, and every day the top 3 priorities go in my journal, and that's what I look to accomplish that day. I also start my day with my assistant, Colleen. Whether we're on the phone together or we're meeting in the office, I review with her my priorities so she can help me accomplish those goals for the day. So that's how I actually start my day with, I have 3 things I have to get done today. And what are those 3 things?
Okay. Okay, lend me a question.
Well, I have lots of good questions for Tony.
Huh?
So, Tony is the master of sales ideas, and he's the master of one-liners. So for 36 years I've been in the business and 32 years at MDRT, I can tell you that I've taken so many notes from when Tony speaks. He has an amazing book, and I've read it and I've perforated it. Why don't you tell us maybe some of your best sales ideas? Or one. Or some.
Well, my best idea you're going to get tomorrow.
So if you share now, they can sleep in.
Yeah. A lot of people struggle in this business because we are trying to sell something to the client. I had a guy came to see me, an insurance agent, last week. He came all the way from Hungary to see me.
Wow.
He's the top man in his company, but his closing average is about 1 in 4, 1 in 5. And I spent several hours with him trying to figure out why. Now, this isn't really a sales idea, it's just a conceptual thought. And then I realized that he's trying to sell something to the client. You don't have any insurance, Jennifer. You need an insurance policy. And in the end, the advice I gave him was stop selling. Stop trying to sell a policy. Stop trying to sell a plan. Stop talking to clients about what they need. Because it's arrogant of me to tell you what you need. And start asking people what they want. Find out what people's goals and ambitions are. What they want for themselves, for their families, for their businesses. And in finding out what they want, that's where we will hang the sail. The interesting thing is that there's a point in every advisor's career where we seem to flip from selling to 1 in 3 to selling to 2 out of 3, or maybe better. My closing average ended up, it started life at 1 in 3. It started life with 4 appointments, 3 of them would be there, 1 of them would buy, and ended up, well, it started out worse than that, but it was like that for many years. Where did it end up? It ended up at get 10 referrals, you'll see 9 of them and sell to 8 of them. Because you're actually not trying to sell to them. You're actually trying to help them achieve their personal goals. Because our product can help most people achieve what they want to achieve. But you ask for a specific idea, I'll give you a sales idea, just in case. Just in case. For the person who says, I don't need insurance. That's great. You don't really need the insurance. But have you ever, you and your wife, you and your husband, ever been on a cruise? Now the answer is either yes or no. It doesn't matter which. But if you went on the cruise, let's say your wife treated you or your husband treated you, I've treated you to this wonderful vacation. We're going on a cruise, the world's most luxurious cruise ship. If this was your wife or your husband's gift to you, you'd take the cruise, wouldn't you? They said, of course I'd take the cruise. And then, as you go to the dock and you get on board the ship, you notice all around the deck those little lifeboats. Now, cruise ships don't sink. Otherwise, there wouldn't be millions of people taking cruises all the time. So why do they have the lifeboats, Jim?
Well, the Titanic sank.
What?
The Titanic sank.
Yeah, but that was 100 years ago. Listen, don't make things difficult for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Just, I do the funny stuff, okay? Okay.
So you were talking about the cruise ships.
Okay.
So reminding you.
Thank you. Cruise ships don't sink. So why do they have all those little lifeboats? Just in case. So take this policy, Jen. Start to take some money out of your business, out of your income, put it aside. Just in case. Let us create a lifeboat for you, for your family, for your business. Just in case. Is that okay?
That was great. So,
let me ask you a question, Jen. You run your own business now, okay? Would you insure, if you were running a puppet theater, would you insure the puppets? Or would you insure the person who pulls the strings?
The person who pulls the strings.
That's key man insurance. Let's get you insured. You know, it's interesting, Jen. If you came to work this morning and found no office building, disaster, just a pile of ashes on the ground. And then you realized you had forgotten to renew your fire insurance. What would you do? And I can tell you, I must have asked this question 1,000 times over the years. The answer's always the same. I'd go to the bank, borrow the money, and start again. Now, Jen, knowing what you know about your business, how long would it take you to get back to where you are today? Nobody ever says longer than 2 years, and usually they'd say 18 months. Doesn't this prove something to you, Jen? It isn't the office, the building, it isn't the desk or the chair that makes the money. It's you. The only real income-producing asset in your business is sitting on that chair right now. Let's ensure the income-producing asset.
Excellent. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why Tony Gordon is so wonderful and great. The amazing sales ideas that he has and what you can learn from him. For me, I'm going to parlay that. My sales idea really stems from protection and your greatest asset. So ask your client what their greatest asset is and listen to what they have to say. You might hear my home, my car, my children, my diamond ring. Your greatest asset is actually your ability to earn an income that allows for all of the other fruits of your labor. So with that, would you be willing to sacrifice that income in the future, or should you protect it with income protection coverage? So I get clients to realize that it's important that their income continue. Take 99% of your income, use 1 or maybe 2% of that income to protect that income for the rest of their lives. I have been very fortunate in my business that I've sold lots of disability income protection, but the greatest sale ever made was when my mentor in our business, the person who hired me 36 years ago, was involved in a tragic accident. And he was getting his hair cut in a barber shop where he was hit by a stray nail from construction heading next door. It hit him here on the C5 spine, and he became a quadriplegic. He has lived a full life in dignity and respect because of the amount of disability income cover he had in force at the time of the accident. That made me not only a believer, but incredibly passionate about making sure individuals have proper coverage. I never want to be the person who could have done something but didn't. So I talk to my family, my friends, and anybody who will listen about the role income protection and life insurance plays in their lives. So we are heading down to the final few minutes of our time with all of you today, and it has really flown by quickly. But I do have a closing question.
Okay.
Can I ask it?
I have a closing question as well. It may be the same question.
Well, I'm going first then.
Okay.
What bit of advice would you offer somebody who is just starting a career in this business today?
What a good question. Firstly, I would tell them that they're getting into an amazing opportunity, an amazing career, because as our marketplace becomes better informed and more sophisticated, it doesn't become harder to do business, it actually becomes easier to do business. But I would say, have a vision. Now, a vision is going to change. The vision that somebody may have for their future on day one in the business, it will not be the vision they will have in year 5 or 10 or 15 or 20, but have a vision. We need a long-term goal, a vision of what we want to achieve for ourselves. And then I would say, break it down. Break it down to what has to be done each year, each month, each week, and each day, and have daily goals. Don't wait 7 years like I did to discover the power of daily goals. Have a daily goal, and you will be successful much, much more quickly than if we don't. That's the advice that I would give somebody starting today. Know exactly what it is we want to achieve each day.
And my advice, find a mentor. Find somebody who's been in the industry for a while, or somebody that you look up to that can provide you guidance, support, just a shoulder to cry on, or just a great piece of advice. I have a mentor and a friend in Tony. Find other people that you look up to, aspire to, and ask them if they would be willing to be your mentor. This business can be lonely at times because you are working independently with clients, and having a mentor is a great release and a great opportunity to be coached to better things. And on that note, Tony and I have run out of time with you this morning. We are grateful to have this opportunity to share, and we couldn't be happier to be up here together. Would you like to have the closing word?
Goodbye. Thank you very much. You're a great audience. We've had fun. We'll be around. If you have questions, come find us. Okay, we'll take a bow.
Great job. That was fun. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the conference.